Well, Mike, it's been a while since our last video.
It has. We've been a little bit busy in our regular lives, running our business and keeping that going. We are still in phase 2. We're not in full retirement here. And that is that transition time, that empty nest time, but that time where you still are working your career and moving forward in that empty nest phase of life. And certainly we get caught up in that as well. However, we have had some time for some leisure activities as well.
We have, but first I want to thank everyone. We've had a really nice response to the videos that we've put out. We've had some great comments come through. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for following along. That's meant the world to us.
It's really been overwhelming. Thank you for all the views that we've had and all the great comments. We really do appreciate you. And what we hope to do in all these videos is to give you really good, solid, applicable information, not just walk around someplace with a camera, not just show you pictures, but to really tell you our experience as a couple in phase 2 of life and tell you, is this really good or not?
Right. We want to steer you in the right direction versus if we think something is more towards that 20-something crowd or towards those who have young children or the phase 3 crowd. We want to send you to the right place that's in the phase 2 living.
Yes. And so in that vein, today we are covering Royal Caribbean's Odyssey of the Seas cruise ship. We took a recent cruise from Fort Lauderdale on Odyssey of the Seas, and we're going to give you our overview and our full phase 2 impressions of that ship and of that cruise.
So come sail along with us. We're Mike and Nancy, and welcome to Living Phase 2. Okay, so we're going to break up our trip on Odyssey of the Seas into 2 videos. This video is going to talk about our planning, our trip to the port, and boarding. Our second video, we will talk about how the activities really fit into a phase 2 lifestyle. So Mike, let's talk about how do we plan our leisure trips when we're making our plans?
Well, we talk a lot about what do we want to go do. This summer, you'll see quite a few videos coming out from us. We have a lot of driving trips. We judge professional competition barbecue as a hobby of ours, and we drive all over the Midwest doing that. So you'll see some of the videos and things of us going. In fact, we're going to do a video on, hey, how do you become a competition barbecue judge? We get that question all the time, so we'll be doing that. So we decide what we want to do for this leisure time activity. In this particular case, we had a little bit of a ulterior motive. We've been loyal to Royal for years and years and years.
Since 1988 on Song of America.
That's right.
Our honeymoon.
Our honeymoon. And so we've always had a great time on Royal Caribbean, and this is one particular case where we're we've just stuck with them. We've never had a really bad experience. And so we've traveled on almost all their ships, but had not done a Quantum Ultra class of ship yet. So first and foremost, that's why we picked this one. We wanted to go on this class of ship since we've never been there. Honestly, the itinerary really didn't matter. In this particular itinerary, this ship went to Cozumel, Costa Maya, and their private island, Coco Cay. Or Coco Key, but really we didn't care because we were there for the ship.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And so, reason we wanted to go on a Quantum Ultra ship, it's one of the most technologically advanced ships in the world. It has a wide variety of innovative technologies, things to do, activities, shows.
Really into that.
Yeah. So we wanted to see that and see what all the fuss was really about. And what else sets a Quantum class ship apart? Well, if you're familiar at all with Royal Caribbean ships, Quantum class ships are really the second generation of Radiance class ships. These ships are designed to go in colder weather climates, Alaska, Asia, places where you can't necessarily be out on the sun deck all day long.
Right.
So that lots of interior space, lots of enclosed spaces.
Yeah.
I mean, even the adult pool, the solarium, which we're going to talk more about in our next video, completely enclosed, air conditioned. And so this one, we've been on a Radiance class ship, in fact, to Alaska. And we wanted to see what this kind of next generation ship was like, and we'll be telling you all about that.
So let's talk about the boarding just a little bit. First, we have a pro tip for you. The pro tip is use your Royal Caribbean app. Take a look on there, determine how many days it is until you can schedule your boarding. And as soon as that day hits that you can schedule your boarding, get on and get it scheduled right away, because then you can pick your time to board. We pick 11 o'clock. It's the earliest time that you can get on your ship. There's some real advantages to doing that, because once you get on the ship, then you can start booking your entertainment, your dining, different things like that. So watch that app.
And
That's
you can
really
get your
important.
first drink really quick
You
too.
can.
Yeah, it's really important. And the difference between the app and the website simply says, we'll email you when you can check in.
Mm-hmm.
The app actually will say, check-in opens on
Such and such date.
Yeah, September 9th.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a difference there. So you can actually see when check-in opens if you look at the app.
Right.
Set your alarm, get up bright and early that day, and you can get a really early boarding time. I almost hate giving this pro tip out because then people are going to know. We love getting those early boarding times.
We do.
So-
Getting that early boarding time really is beneficial, especially if you're going to do the dining package and all, because you want to get your dinners scheduled at the places that you want on
Speaking
the
of the
days that
dining
you want.
package, yeah.
Yeah, so the dining package, this was our first time to try the dining package, and we really liked it. We got a good deal on it. For 7 days, it was $130.
A 6-day cruise.
Excuse
But yeah,
me, 6 days.
6 days, $130 each, which, a single visit to a specialty restaurant on board the cruise ship, can cost $50, $60, $70. So right there, we only had to visit a couple specialty restaurants a couple of times, and we more than paid for the
We tried
dining
all
package.
the specialty restaurants,
We
and
did.
you get credit at different places like the Playmakers, the Giovanni's
Wine bar, yep, the British pub, yep,
Right,
the English pub.
right.
So
you
yeah,
get some cash credit towards
exactly,
those.
yeah. And we're going to go over the dining package in detail and where we ate and what we thought of the food in the next video when we're getting into the details. But one of the very important things is, because you're booking the dining package, like Nancy said, getting that early boarding time as part of your planning is so critical, because as these ships are booked to capacity.
Yeah. So, and you want to get the time that you want. I mean, for instance, we like to go to the shows in the evening, so I didn't want our dinner to conflict with the show times. So things like that, and you can see the show times, you can see the different things on the app. So it helps you to make your planning a little bit easier, and you can pick your times. And by getting on board at the early times, you're getting the opportunity to get your dining at the time you want it.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, as the ships are at 100, in fact, this sailing of Odyssey was at 100 and I think it's 6% or 110% capacity,
It was
which
overfull.
So yeah, some people ask, well, how can that be? Well, because 100% capacity is based on double occupancy in a cabin, and once you start putting a third person, kids, whoever in these cabins, this was the first time since COVID, Royal Caribbean had sailed a ship with over 100% capacity, and we got on board in one of the first waves of people, and we still, it was filling up fast for the reservations for the specialty restaurants.
It was, and I just want to say one more thing before we move on too. It's not just the dining that it's important to get on board early for. We were able to get into the virtual reality that we wanted to do. Some of the shows have limited seating capacity as well, and so we were able to book our shows right away.
Yeah, and that's critical. We see that question actually quite a bit. Well, can I just book them before I get on? Can I go on the app? You really can't until your phone connects to ship's Wi-Fi, and that's really, really critical. You don't have to buy the Wi-Fi package, but everything works through the ship's Wi-Fi. Once you get your phone connected to the ship's Wi-Fi, then you can actually start making reservations on the phone. Right. We are going to talk a little bit more about how to make reservations, the best ways to do that, some pro tips and tricks in the next video. But we do just want to stress that's why it's important to get those early boarding times.
Right.
Well, let's talk the drink package for just a minute, just to touch on it. We'll talk some drinks and things in the next video, but we're not really big drinkers.
We really aren't.
No, really.
Might sound like we are, but we're really not.
In the past, we always just did the pay-as-you-go approach up until about 4 cruises ago or so. And then we decided to try the drink package. And we see this question all the time, over and over and over. Probably the number one question asked about cruising on the internet: is the drink package worth it? And for us, it's not a math equation. It's not a money equation. You can do the math really quick. You can say it takes between 4 and 5 drinks a day to pay for, so to speak, pay for the drink package. And you might say, my gosh, I never drink 4 drinks or 5 drinks a day. However, it's more than just a drink costs this much, how many of those drinks I do, and do I then buy the drink package? The convenience factor, the relaxation factor, is huge.
Yeah, that is huge.
Yeah.
So.
And so that's really, I think, what pushed us over the edge, because, especially Nancy, who is my frugal anchor, if we go and see, hey, I'm going to go up and get you a drink. Oh, okay. And you see a $13 pina colada plus an 18% gratuity, etc. You got a $15 pina colada. Pretty soon you're like, yeah, I don't want any more. It's okay. And next thing you know, you're having maybe 1 drink a day, or you're like, okay, I'm not even going to get, it's just too much. Well, you may be spending the same amount, but when you have that freedom that's just all inclusive, you can truly relax and enjoy it. You're not thinking about $15, $18, $15.
Right.
It's just, hey, you spend it up front, go get your money's worth and relax.
It's so true. And they always have a drink of the day. It's like, oh, that looks good. And now I can try those drinks of the day. And if I don't like them, I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, shall we move on to the pro tip here about, let's talk a little bit about the night before.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
okay.
Yep.
So we recommend as a pro tip that you always get there the day before to your destination where you're going to board the ship, the day before you actually cruise. In today's day and age, with the unreliability of airlines and having a delayed flight or even a canceled flight, it's really not worth the risk. So we highly recommend that you arrive the day before.
Oh, yeah, always arrive the day before. Book yourself a hotel, a couple $100 in an extra night is well worth it, especially during these times. There's pilot shortages. There's still COVID issues. There's employee issues. Everyone's shorthanded. We see over and over people's flights getting canceled, and that gives you that 1 day buffer. And the second thing is, as we are planning this cruise, as you're thinking about planning any vacation like a cruise where you're not in charge of the travel, we highly recommend travel insurance. Whether you go with a travel agent or not, and we are talking about doing a video on pros and cons of doing a travel agent. We do both. We work with a travel agent, and sometimes we book our own travel. But you can get travel insurance directly through the internet. Look at a company like Allianz. They're really good. Yeah. We've used them many times. They pay out well if you have an issue. So we recommend that you have your own little insurance by getting there the day before, but also for the cost, we really recommend travel insurance. And again, we probably, especially being in phase 2, we may do a separate video going into the nitty gritty and the details of travel insurance, but there's a couple of them. So let's talk a little bit about our Fort Lauderdale. That's where our cruise left from.
Right. So we stayed at the Homewood Suites there in Fort Lauderdale the night before.
Yep.
They do have a shuttle service that you can take directly to the port. It was $15. We chose not to use this. Again, pro tip here, consider using an Uber. Those shuttles were full and were packed, and we wanted to make sure we got to the cruise ship at the time that we wanted, and we didn't want to have to wait for another shuttle. Yeah,
and we've been to a few hotels in the port cities, and many of them don't have their own port shuttle. They offer a port shuttle, but there's usually an extra cost, and it's through a third party.
Yes.
However, this Homewood Suites did have an airport shuttle that was free, and that made it very nice. We could just take a shuttle from the airport to the hotel, and once we were at the hotel, there's a really, really good restaurant just down the street within walking distance. If you're okay walking, say, what was it, 3 blocks, 2-3 blocks, something like that.
A short walk.
Yeah, just a short walk down, called Tropical Acres Steakhouse. Absolutely excellent. We really enjoyed it.
It was good. Yeah, the food was delicious. The service was great. So if you're cruising out of Fort Lauderdale, we would recommend both of those places to you.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. It's one of those steakhouses. It's a and I have a real soft spot for these. It's what I call an old time steakhouse, right? Yeah. It's a great bar, nice big thick steaks. You know, the wait staff is great service, and the prices were pretty good too. So, but anyway, think about Tropical Acres. So if you're in Fort Lauderdale and thinking about a place to eat, that hotel, the Homewood Suites and Tropical Acres, make a great pair. Quick from the airport. It's 2 miles from the airport, and it's like 5 miles from I don't even think it's that, 2-3 miles to the port. It was only a 10-minute. I think 10-minute ride to the port, 12 minutes, on Uber. So now here's our next pro tip. After we had dinner, we went to bed, we got up in the morning. Again, we couldn't board the ship till 11 o'clock. We just had some coffee because, we didn't want to spoil ourselves. We knew what was coming on the ship. But there are options on Ubers. So the pro tip we have is you may want to wait till the morning to book your Uber because you can do an Uber reserve. However, we found it was almost 3 times more expensive to do the Uber reserve that they would show up at a particular time than just booking it in the morning. And when we booked it in the morning, there were plenty of Ubers available. All those Uber drivers know when the cruise ships are leaving, when they're coming in, they're available. And so you want to just pick that time about a half an hour before you're ready to leave, and then you can go ahead and book your Uber. Ours got there within about 10 minutes, and we were at the port at, I think, 10:45 for our 11 a.m. Boarding.
So before we talk about the boarding, I'd like to invite you to like and subscribe and turn on notifications. We appreciate you all being here.
Yeah, absolutely. This helps this video and our other videos reach more and more people. And then we get more comments and we get more ideas for content. So yes, please hit that subscribe and like button. We do appreciate it. We appreciate all the subscribers that have signed up here recently. So, one of the other things, just to be aware, to wrap up on the Uber before we go into our discussion of what it was like at the terminal, is remember that when you're going in an Uber, you will need your passport and you'll need your boarding identification. Have it ready. A good Uber driver will tell you that, and most of them know it because they've been doing this a long time. They go to the ports multiple times every day. But have your passport or your identification. I mean, you may not need a passport, but at least your driver's license and your boarding to get through security at the port. Okay?
All right.
So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the terminal and what it was like getting to the terminal, arriving, what happened when we got to the port. So we arrived about 10 to 15 minutes before our 11 o'clock boarding time, which, is perfect. We do believe you should arrive when you have your boarding window. If you have a 2 o'clock boarding window, you'll hear people every once in a while say, oh yeah, they just let me on. A lot of people though, you will hear, they'll say, sorry, 2 o'clock, go get in that line and stand out in the hot sun for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you really can't be upset with Royal Caribbean if they gave you a 2 o'clock boarding time because that's the slot they had. And, you got there 3 hours early. So really try to get there maybe 10, 15 minutes before your scheduled boarding time. Once we arrived, we got our bags, we dropped them off with the terminal porters. If you've never been on a cruise before, you will give your large checked bags to the porters there. There's lots of signs, and believe me, they're right there. And what you do is you do tip those porters a couple dollars a bag, and then they will load them up in the carts and get them on the ship for you. Pro tip, tip the porters. This isn't the time to skimp on $10 or something on a few bags. It's important. These people work very hard. Give them a couple dollars to go with those bags that they're putting together. Now, this was one of the things that even though we arrived at our boarding time, here's some video that you can see that we were staged in the terminal, and we didn't actually get on the ship till about 12 o'clock. A lot of that is they're just shorthanded right now. They are trying to get as many crew members as they can, and they have to turn that ship and get those 4,000 or 5,000 passengers off that ship and get ready for the next 4,000 or 5,000 coming on board the ship. And it is quite a miracle they do that in only a couple hours, but it did take them a little bit more time. Took them a little bit more time that day.
It did. So it's a good time to say, pack your patience. Along with everything else, be sure to pack your patience. They're a little short-staffed. They're training new staff, things like that. So consider the adventure, consider the blessings that you're having, and just pack your patience and all will be fine.
Yeah, live in that moment and understand that when you take trips, especially in this post-COVID world, things are not going to go perfect. And the best thing you can do is put a smile on your face, look at travel as an adventure, take it as it comes, and stay in that moment and not linger in the bad times that occur. So when we got on board, they did let us on board, but however, our cabin was not ready. And in fact, they said the cabins were not going to be ready till about 2 o'clock. So we were on board about by noon. We had about 2 hours to wait until we could actually physically go to our cabin.
Right. So you want to have your carry-on bag with you. You're going to want to have things like your medications, your toiletries, an extra change of clothing. Also, your swimsuit is really nice to have. You can go into one of the public restrooms, change into your swimsuit, get yourself comfortable, and kind of settle in. But you don't want a bag that's too big because you're going to be carrying it around for a couple of hours.
Yeah, it's very, very possible. So, we had some very specific questions about carry-ons. We may shoot a short little video to show you. We've got another cruise coming up this fall, and we may shoot a video showing what's in our carry-on so you can see what we carry there. So after we boarded and we had our carry-ons with us, our luggage is all with the porters, first thing we did was head over to one of the specialty restaurants to make all our dining reservations for the entire week. And here's a great pro tip for you. If you go to any of the specialty restaurants, even the main dining room desk, they can make all the reservations at all the specialty restaurants for all week for you with one stop. So don't think that you have to go to all the different restaurants.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a big help. And if you didn't get the specialty dining package, go to the main dining room. If you're on My Time Dining, go ahead and get that scheduled at this time so you're getting the time that you want.
Yeah, exactly. Then after we made our dining reservations, so we actually call this time kind of the high stress time because you're getting from the hotel, you get your Uber, you get your luggage on, you go through the check-in process, you get these dining reservations, which you're trying to rush to make sure you get them all for the week. You make any entertainment reservations that you need to make, get those done as well. You can do those on your phone. Now it's time to do the one last thing that's required, the muster drill. You have to get that done. Please don't be one of these people that's with the Smith party, please report to their muster station. Yeah, go ahead.
It's really easy. That Royal Caribbean has made it so easy now. You just watch a few short videos on your phone, click that they're completed. Super easy. But then when you're on board, it says your location is such and such place. You go to that location, check in, they check your name off that you've completed the drill, they see that you've done the videos. And we did our videos when we were in that staging area.
That's right.
But really it was maybe
in fact,
only
you can even
10
do
minutes of videos. It's not
exactly.
much.
Yeah, you watch the safety video. There's 2 or 3. You got to listen to the sound of the horn, the safety horn, and then once that's done, that's all completed. And then as soon as you get there to the muster station, they check you off, and now it's time to relax.
Now it's time to relax.
So where are we?
We're in the coconut, babe.
And that's when vacation really starts. That's when you can really start enjoying the ship, its amenities, and everything that a ship like this has to offer. And in fact, that's what we're going to talk about in our next video. So we've made it on board. We've done our planning. We've checked in at the muster station. We've got all our reservations. And so now we are going to talk in our next video about the amenities on this ship, the food on this ship, the entertainment on this ship, our cabin on the ship, and all the details as we spent 6 days on board Odyssey of the Seas.
So thank you so much for following along with us on this adventure. We appreciate getting to show you our Phase 2 flock about the activities, and hopefully you're going to find some things that we do to be of interest to you as well, that you'll have some wonderful vacations that you'll be planning very soon. Thank you for watching.
Thanks a lot.